What's up everyone, and welcome back to The Pursuit. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of my biggest buck encounters. So let's dive right into it. The first buck that I want to talk about, I named Captain Hook. I had history with this buck for over 2 years, and as just a young buck, he was already a wide 8-pointer. His tines weren't very long, but the beam itself was super wide. This buck I watched for a couple years just on cameras. I never had an encounter with him until last deer season on opening day of rifle. I decided to bring my bow in the blind with me, which was the worst decision I've ever made. And of course, Captain Hook shows up. I got in the blind with my bow. I should have had my gun. Around, I want to say 8 o'clock, I'm rattling, and for just like a minute, and then 5 minutes later, here comes Captain Hook. He is a beautiful buck. At this point, I want to say he's a 4-year-old, and he comes running in to 35 yards, stands there, almost broadside, but quartering towards me ever so slightly, and he gives me a perfect shot with a gun. But I had my bow, I still had to draw back, I had the windows open in the blind, which I later realized was a big mistake because he could see my silhouette. He knew I was in there as soon as he looked towards the blind. And so anyways, this buck took off. So Captain Hook comes in, I had an awesome encounter with him, it's all on video, and then he takes off. So anyways, I continued to try and keep up with this buck throughout the season. The last day of the season, the landowner's son was hunting the property, and he killed Captain Hook. I have camera footage of Captain Hook crossing a mock scrape I set out, and he was already limping. He had a dead leg earlier in the season, and he just was able to recover from it, and he was a beautiful buck. His rack ended up being 24 inches wide. I believe he ended up weighing around 160 pounds, which he'd lost a lot of weight in the rut, and also with that limp, I'm sure it was a struggle to keep weight. Such a big buck. Damn it. My second buck encounter is with Cliffhanger. This is a buck I had on camera last fall, late in the rifle season, and he was a hog. This buck was easily over 200 pounds. He was a beautiful 10-pointer. I have trail camera pictures of him hitting my mock scrape, and I named him Cliffhanger. Reason being is I only got this buck on camera once, and the property I'm hunting is small. It's in a more urban area, I guess you could say, and so I knew this buck was hanging around. I saw his sign. There were a lot of smaller bucks in there, and it was just a great area, a lot of does too. But anyways, I had this buck on camera once last fall, and then I was hunting expanded archery early in October this season, and I had an encounter with Captain Hook. I wasn't expecting it whatsoever. I didn't have him on camera, but I had this little 8-point buck on camera. He was very frequent, almost every evening. So I went out there expecting to see him, expecting to shoot him, honestly, with my bow. And this little 8-pointer comes out, and little did I know, right behind him, Captain Hook was coming in. This buck is now a 13-pointer. He is a beautiful deer, easily over 200 pounds still. So I got over 20 minutes of footage of him because I'm in my stand watching this buck with a camera, but he stopped at around 60 or 70 yards and just stood there. He didn't even turn his head until a little 8-point buck went over and started picking on him, and he started moving around, which you can see in the video. So of course, after seeing this buck, it pretty much changed the way that I was going to hunt this season because I wanted to get after him. But I had a moose hunt coming up, which was going to take a week away of deer hunting from me. I had to let Cliffhanger go for a week, and when I got back, I got a picture from my friend, and he said, "Is this the buck you were after?" And I looked at it briefly, and there's a lot of big deer in Maine, so I kind of looked at it real quick, put the phone down. I was like, no, that's not the buck. I said, where was he shot? He said a completely different town, so I was like, no way, that's not my buck. And I kept hunting this deer. Little did I know that picture he sent me was Cliffhanger. I later realized this because I went back to our chat, found the photo, and compared the picture that I had of Cliffhanger on my camera and my trail cameras, and then this photo that my buddy sent me. It was the same buck. So Cliffhanger ended up getting shot with a rifle. Kind of funny, but this guy's out there in blue jeans, a blue puffy jacket, and he's got his orange vest and his orange hat, and he killed this monster buck, this 13 pointer that ended up weighing just 196 pounds. And last year we both said his body was bigger than it was this year. So this 196 pound buck was even bigger body wise last year, but his rack this season was beautiful. 13 pointer, and just check this buck out. Another buck encounter that I had, which was now a few years ago, was this big bodied buck, and he also had a fantastic rack. And I saw him in a bog that I had been hunting. What ended up happening is I put a stand out. It was set back from the bog in the woods, but I could see the entire bog. It was just too far away. And I had two bucks come in. They both came in, and they were just kind of messing around. They weren't fighting, but they were almost playing with each other. And I have footage of all of it. And these bucks were just kind of loving on each other. Anyways, this 8-point buck took off, and I saw this big buck, which we'll just call the bog hog, all right? Like Boss Hog, but the bog hog. I saw the bog hog bed down. I had permission on all sides of this bog, so I drove all the way around and got into the woods on the other side of it, got to this ledge that comes out to the bog, and I'm with a buddy. He's filming me. We're both walking up over this ledge, and what we should have done is crawled. But anyways, by the time we get up there and can view the bog hog, the hog in the bog is taking off running. So I fire a shot, complete miss. But the 8-pointer that was with him ended up stepping back out. 2 weeks later, I had a new stand set up closer to where I saw him previously, and I was able to shoot this deer all on video. It was my first ever buck on camera. He's a beautiful, pretty symmetrical deer, so that was really awesome.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, he's right here. He's right here. Oh my god. Oh, thank you God. Oh my god.
And for my last big buck encounter that you all know about if you've watched some of my latest videos, it was this year's deer that is my home screen on my laptop. This buck I shot tracking. It was just an incredible day, and the story of how it happened is kind of crazy. Like, it doesn't always happen the way this hunt went.
What is up, y'all? It is the day before Thanksgiving, and I am heading north to go track a buck in the snow. I just stumbled across a buck track, and it is big.
It's right there. Yeah! Oh! That's a dead buck, baby.
This buck ended up weighing 158. Hal Blood guessed 160, and I'd say if I would have kept a little extra meat in him, he probably would have weighed 160. So that's what I'm going with. I think the scale was off and Hal Blood was right. So that was my last big buck encounter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you on the next one.